Okay, so for your informative presentation, you will be, as I've said before, speaking from an outline. So this is the outline that you should be presenting from. You can keep this outline as it is a piece of paper in front of you, or you can transition it into note cards. Note cards are typically best, especially since unless you have a podium or something like that that you can use. But typically note cards are going to be more efficient and more effective and a smoother transition. But this is the outline that you'll be speaking from. So you should see here, as you can see, title and topic. So title your speech something catchy, something fun, something that's clear that what it's about, right? So if you just name it the social movement that you're using, that's fine. The specific thing that you are talking about. Presented by, you don't have to worry about putting your name on it because I'll know who it's coming from. So you should have the body of your speech pretty finalized at this point. After I've given you feedback from the previous assignment where you submitted the body of your speech, you may have tweaked it some, it may have looked great already, you may have still been working on it, and that's totally fine. You may change it after this assignment too, and that's okay too. But as you work, you should be pretty close at this point to having the body already done. But let's talk about that introduction. So the introduction has 5 parts, right? You have your attention getter first. That needs to hook us in right off the bat. It's so important. If you get up there as you practice through Flipgrid, right? Different attention getters, hopefully you got some good feedback from your classmates on which one is best. Get something that's going to hook us in. Be creative, something that's going to be like, what is going on here, right? So hook us in first right off the bat with a fun attention getter, a shocking statistic, a story, an illustration, an anecdote, a quotation, paint a picture for us, put us in a scene. A question to the audience is harder virtually because no one can answer it, right? But you can do a hypothetical so that we can think about it. So think about a good attention getter. That's the first step for the introduction. So when you start your speech, you won't say, I'm so-and-so, I'm talking about whatever. You won't do any of that. When your countdown on your Connect starts, it says 3, 2, 1, go. You'll start with your attention getter, right? So attention getter first. Your credibility statement is, why should we trust you on this topic? So if you have any experience with it, if you were someone who was a part of the movement, if you were someone who was going door to door, or someone who was posting on social media, or someone who was doing something connected to your movement, then you can say that there. Otherwise, and including that, you will talk about your research. So you don't have to put a source here necessarily. You just need to tell us that you've done research, that if you have read a book about it, if you have listened to a podcast about it, if you've done anything like that to kind of really immerse yourself in it, you'll say that there, right? So you could say something like, I have been interested in this movement for a long time, and I've been involved in it, in addition to research for this speech. Or you could say, I read a book about it, I listened to a podcast about it, and I've done research for this speech, and that's why I'm qualified to talk to you about it, right? So that's what you're telling us there. Why should we trust you? The next statement is your audience relation, which is, why is this important for your audience? So you tell us here, this matters to you because. Why? Why is this important? Why is this social movement or this person or this thing important? Why does it matter to us as an audience right now? So tell us that. Make it clear. This matters to you because. You can say those words right in the statement. You should connect to your audience. You should say you because you're talking to your audience here. So attention getter, credibility, audience relation. The next 2 statements are thesis and preview. So your thesis is that one sentence that is exactly what it's about, right? So it can be something as simple as, today I'm going to inform you about the abolition movement. That's fine. Or it can be, the abolition movement was, definition, or is, right? So you say that there. So one sentence. Your preview is where you're going to list out your main points in the order in which you're going to speak about them. So if you have your main points down here, right, you should have them filled out. So if your main points are the beginning, middle, and end of the movement, right, you will say in your preview, today we're going to discuss the beginning, the middle, and the ending of this movement, right? Or today we're going to discuss this person, this strategy, and this event. Whatever your 3 main points are, you list them out here in this order. Then you'll do something which is called a signpost. It's not necessarily right on this post, but it's called that. It's not important that you know that, but it is what it's called. You'll say, first, we'll talk about the beginning. And then you'll go right into that main point, right? So your preview, again, lists in order the main points you're going to talk about. This tells us what you're going to tell us, right? So when we are writing it out, it may seem kind of redundant, but in a speech, you tell us what you're going to tell us, you tell us, and then you tell us what you just told us. Essentially, that's what you do. Because we don't have anything in front of us to go back and reread if we miss it. This helps us follow along with you. So you tell us in your preview, 1, 2, 3 main points. First, let's start with this. Then you get into the body, which we've already discussed. Remember to transition. When you transition between main points, you are going to say, now that we've talked about A, let's talk about B. So you're going to connect them together, right? Now that we've talked about the beginning of the movement, let's talk about the middle of it, right? Whatever your next point is, you bring us with you. We'll do the same thing. Now that we've talked about the middle, let's talk about the end on that second transition. And then finally, your conclusion, you will just review the main points. So whatever your preview was, it's the same thing. It's just past tense. Today we talked about A, B, and C. Restate your thesis. You can reword it in a little bit of a way. You can keep it the same. It doesn't matter. It's up to you. You can just say, today we talked about the abolition movement, and that's fine. Restating, just sort of reminding us. And then your last bit is a wrap up. So what you should do here is make it clear that the speech is over. You don't have to say in conclusion or I'm done, but you need to deliver it in a way that's clear, and you need to wrap it up in a way that is final. You're not introducing any new information, but you are also making sure that we know it's the end. A good way to do that is to tie it back to the attention getter in some way. It's a nice full circle moment. It's a nice full circle. That's a really good way to do it. So I look forward to looking at your outlines. Again, I will look at these and I will give you feedback before you move forward into giving your presentation.